Okay, so something shifted the moment you stopped reaching out. And the person who was so comfortable with you chasing them is now experiencing what it feels like when you're not available anymore. And they're panicking, not subtly, not in a way they can hide. They're actually freaking out because the dynamic they took for granted just flipped and they don't know how to handle it. Let me describe what's happening. You may have spent weeks, months, maybe even years being the one who initiated, who reached out first, who made plans, who kept the conversation going, who put in the effort while they just responded when they felt like it. Some people experience this as exhausting. You're constantly proving your interest while they're casually receiving it, never matching your energy, never reciprocating your effort, just coasting on your investment. It might feel like you were auditioning for a role they weren't even sure they wanted to cast, like you were doing all the work while they sat back evaluating whether you were worth their time, and then you stopped and everything changed. Let's pause here. This reflection invites you to consider, when did you decide to stop chasing someone who wasn't meeting you halfway? Maybe it was a specific moment, a text you sent that they ignored, an invitation they declined without offering an alternative, a pattern you finally got tired of excusing. You may have reached a breaking point where the exhaustion of pursuing someone who wasn't pursuing you back became heavier than the hope that they'd eventually match your energy. It's possible you didn't announce your decision, you didn't send a dramatic message or have a big conversation. You just stopped. Stopped texting first. Stopped making plans. Stopped being available whenever they decided they wanted attention. Some people call this playing games, but it's not a game. It's just stopping a pattern that wasn't serving you. It's refusing to participate in a dynamic where you're the only one trying. You may have felt guilty at first, like you were being petty or immature or playing hard to get. Like you should keep showing up because that's what interested people do. But showing up for someone who doesn't show up for you isn't interest, it's self abandonment. And you finally chose yourself instead. It can feel like giving up, like you're walking away from something that could have been good if they just tried. But you weren't walking away from potential. You were walking away from someone who had every opportunity to meet you halfway and consistently chose not to. This reflection invites you to consider, how did it feel to finally stop chasing? There's something specific about what taking your power back means. It's possible you didn't realize how much power you'd given away until you reclaimed it, how much of your emotional state depended on their response time, how much of your day was spent wondering if they'd text, how much energy went into analyzing their behavior instead of living your life. You gave them control over your mood, your confidence, your sense of being wanted, and they didn't even ask for that power. You just handed it over because you were so focused on winning their interest. And now you took it back. You stopped letting their behavior determine your worth. Stopped checking your phone every 5 minutes. Stopped overanalyzing every interaction. Some people don't understand how powerful this shift is. They think it's just about not texting first, but it's deeper than that. It's about relocating your center of gravity from them back to yourself. You may have noticed you feel lighter, less anxious, less consumed by whether they like you enough because you're not performing for their approval anymore. You're just existing without needing their validation. And that shift is what's making them freak out because suddenly you're not available, not predictable, not waiting around for them to decide you're worth their effort. It can feel satisfying watching someone who took you for granted realize you're not guaranteed that your attention isn't infinite, that they might actually lose access to you. This reflection invites you to consider what changed in you when you stopped making them your priority. Let me talk about how you can tell they're freaking out. It's possible they're suddenly more responsive, texting first when they never did before, making plans when you were always the one suggesting them, being available when they used to be conveniently busy. Or they're asking questions. Are you okay? You've been quiet lately? Did I do something? Fishing to see if you're pulling away. Testing to see if they still have your attention. Maybe they're trying to make you jealous. Posting more on social media. Mentioning other people. Creating scenarios designed to make you reach out and reassert your interest. Some people can't handle losing relevance. They might not want you the way you want them, but they want you wanting them. And when you stop, they panic. You may see them doing things they never did when you were chasing, complimenting you, being more affectionate, suddenly acting like they're invested. And it might feel validating. Like, see, I knew they could try if they wanted to. I knew they had it in them. But here's the question you need to ask. Are they trying because they actually value you now? Or are they trying because they miss having your attention on demand? It can feel hard to discern the difference because in both cases they're showing more effort, but the motivation matters. This reflection invites you to consider, is there sudden effort about wanting you or about wanting your validation? There's something about your response that's critical here. It's possible you're tempted to cave, to take their sudden effort as proof they've changed, to fall back into the pattern because finally they're doing what you wanted all along. But people don't change because you stop chasing them. They just adjust their strategy to get your attention back. And once they have it, the old pattern often resumes. You need to watch what happens if you re-engage. Do they maintain the effort, or does it drop the moment they feel secure that you're back to chasing? Some people will do just enough to reel you back in. Then, once you're hooked again, they return to minimal effort because they've reestablished that you'll accept it. You may have experienced this cycle before with this same person. You pull back, they chase, you re-engage, they relax, you end up chasing again, round and round. But this time you're aware of the pattern. This time you can choose differently. It can feel tempting to believe they've learned their lesson, that your absence taught them your value, that they're different now. But changed behavior has to be sustained, not just performed until they get you back. This reflection invites you to consider if they're suddenly trying. Is it because you stopped chasing or because they actually grew? Let me talk about what you actually deserve. It's possible you deserve someone who doesn't need to lose you to value you, who shows up consistently from the start, who matches your energy without you having to withdraw yours to prove a point. You deserve someone who pursues you as much as you pursue them, who initiates, who plans, who makes you feel wanted without requiring you to do all the work. Someone who's excited about you before you pull away, who's invested before you withdraw, who treats you like a priority without needing the threat of your absence to motivate them. Some people will tell you that pulling back and making them chase is a game, and maybe it is. But you know what's also a game? Someone keeping you in rotation while never fully committing. Someone enjoying your attention while never reciprocating it. You may have finally decided you're done playing either game, done chasing, and done accepting breadcrumbs from people who suddenly care when you stop accepting less. Because here's the truth. If someone only values you when they think they're losing you, they don't actually value you. They value having access to your validation. It can feel harsh to think that way about someone you care about, like you're being unforgiving or not giving them a chance. But you gave them chances, multiple chances, and they took them for granted until you stopped offering them. This reflection invites you to consider, do you want someone who chases you back or someone who never made you chase them in the first place? There's something about your power right now. It's possible you're in the strongest position you've been in this entire dynamic because you're not needing them anymore. You're not waiting for them. You're not organizing your life around their attention. And that gives you clarity. You can see the situation for what it is instead of what you hoped it would be. You can make decisions based on reality instead of potential. You can see if their increased effort is genuine or just reactive. You can determine if this is someone who's actually grown or someone who just doesn't like losing control. Some people waste this moment of power. They get so excited that the person is finally chasing that they immediately give back all the ground they gained by pulling away. You may be tempted to do that, to celebrate their pursuit by making yourself available again, by going back to doing all the work now that they've done the bare minimum. But don't, not yet. Not until you see if this is sustainable or just a temporary adjustment to get you back. It can feel mean to make them work for it, like you're punishing them, like you're being difficult. But you're not. You're just requiring them to demonstrate what you've been demonstrating all along. Consistent interest, genuine effort, prioritization. This reflection invites you to consider, are you willing to maintain your power or will you give it back too easily? You remain in complete control of what happens next. You can re-engage, maintain distance, give them a chance, walk away entirely. The power is yours. It always has been. You may notice reading this has brought up a specific person and maybe satisfaction, maybe temptation, maybe the urge to cave because finally they're trying. Whatever it is, honor it. Take what resonates, softly release the rest, trust yourself. Before we close, I want to ask you something. If someone only started chasing you after you stopped chasing them, would you take them back? Drop it in the comments. And what's the difference between someone who pursues you because they value you and someone who pursues you because they miss your attention? You stopped chasing and took your power back, and now they're freaking out. And their panic tells you everything. They liked having your attention. They just didn't like it enough to work for it until they thought they might lose it. Now you get to decide if that's enough, if reactive effort counts. If you want someone who only tries when you stop trying, not eventually, right now. Trust yourself with this